Odinga. Raila Odinga, in full realization of the high calling, assumed the office of the People's President of the Republic of Kenya. So help me God.
Mimi nataka kwenda kuwa rais wa Afrika nini Jumuiya ya Afrika. Lakini baba yuko hapa. I'll be around here. I'm not going to be away. I will continue to ensure that things are working in my own country. I will work for the continent of Africa, but at the same time work for Kenya. I can be able to scale the stairs and chew the gum at the same time. Kwa hivyo watu ambao wanasema ati baba anatoka, siji baba nani, wanahangaika, anasema ngoo, baba yuko tu hapa. Na wakati ikifika, mkinitaka baba, na mkiniita, nitaitika. So walisema, zamani tulikuwa tunaimba, nikiitwa nitaitika, nikiitwa nitaitika, nikiitwa nitaitika, kutumikia wana Kenya, kutumikia wana Kenya, kutumikia wana Kenya. Vijana hoi, Kibira hoi. Sasa baba amekuja, na baba akikuja, huyu Sifuna alisema ati KFC. Anasema KFC. We assure our people and Kenyans that our eyes are firmly on the ball, and reiterate that we shall go back to the people as the earliest sign of lack of seriousness by the other side. In other words, if the other side is not serious, we will go back to our people and continue. End of statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the judiciary participating fully in this war? When the culprits have been arrested, evidence has been taken to court, then they're given bail, and they're able to go back to work, and they're being treated as angels who are just being molested by society. You're accused of some of the worst crimes, murder, most foul, and you're allowed to go back and work and fire people, interfere with evidence. Is the judiciary an ally in the war against corruption? She will tell that I've never slapped. And they came here at the dawn of independence. And that is the time when this country was looking for intellectuals to take over from the colonialists who were leaving the country. So he's one of the pioneer civil servants at that time. And that was the time when, as you know, the colonial system had actually discriminated against the people of our country. So Africans were on the periphery of the economy of this country. Then they came up with this paper, session of paper number 10. And it was actually meant at bringing Africans from the periphery to the center of the economy. That's how ICDC was formed, and he became the first CEO of ICDC, Industrial and Commercial Development Corporation, to give loans to Africans so that Africans could be involved in the economy of this country. Then they formed the KNTC as well. He established ICDC in a very strong footing. Later on, Madu Amai took over from him when they moved on. But then he went on to serve in other capacities and then became a member of parliament for Kamkunji, for the death of Tom Mboya. I came to know him in the early 70s at that time, when he was now a member of parliament and I was myself working in town. I remember at the time of the death of J.M. Kariuki, when our Njigi was one of the people who stood very, very firm that the truth of the death of Kariuki need to be told and be known. He worked very well in Kamkunji. His records are known. And even in Parliament. As a Minister of Agriculture, he was exemplary. I remember meeting him several times as a Minister of Agriculture. During those ASK shows, he was always there. And you could see him sometimes walking around with the President. Those days, when they were working first as civil servants, they had inherited a very clean civil servant. But the civil service got corrupted when they introduced what they called the Njenga Commission report, which allowed the civil servants to get involved in businesses, competing with the private sector. That is actually the genesis of corruption in our civil service. And that is an issue that must be addressed. If you're talking about fighting corruption, first address the issue of corruption within civil service. Civil servants should not become businessmen. They should either choose to be businessmen or become civil servants. So, but now I'm digress. Last time I was here in Nyeri with elders here, Mr. Governor, I talked about history. And he told me, you don't want to hear history. No country can develop without history. Yes. So when I stand here, I can talk about how the people from this region have fought and helped to liberate this country. Yes. I talked another time about Didan Kimani. I was telling you how independence fought and how, in the end, the people of Kenya united together the rest of our country. And I actually would want to tell you that if you don't know history, you cannot know the future. This country has come from very far. And we are here where we are today. In the midst of a crisis, I want to join those who have spoken before me. We used to be in the trenches. Reverend Peter Njenga here called him a comrade in arms. We used to go to him at the All Saints Cathedral. But one time, his leg was swollen. And we got him from the All Saints Cathedral, walking with him all the way to Kamkunji. And they were throwing tear gas at us. Later on, he even took us back to All Saints Cathedral where we were hiding with him. This is Reverend here. At that time, there were the church leaders who were true to the liberation struggle. Yes. Today, the religious leaders are summoned like servants to go to State House. And they go there with prepared speeches to make. The church must speak the word of God and stand firm with the children of God. The church should not be subservient to the temporal power. The church should sympathize and stand on the side of the people of this country and to speak truth to power. If things go wrong, take truth to power. When children of this country come out in their large numbers to say something is wrong, the church itself should stand with these children. The Gen Z, they told me that Baba, kaa nyumbani. Umefanya ya kutosha. Tutaendelea. Niko nyumbani lakini niko behind you. What this country now requires is a serious dialogue, a comprehensive dialogue that will be able to fix all the things that have gone wrong, deal with issues of unemployment of our youth, the issues of corruption, the issues of ethnicity and tribalism and nepotism, issues of exclusion. These are the issues that we need to address. Hello. So these are the issues that we need to get things right. Police should not use brutality against unarmed, innocent people who are demonstrating for their rights. I've seen Gen Zs getting tear gassed. Kula tear gas. Hata sisi tumekula tear gas. Endeleeni kukula tear gas. Tell them to add more tear gas. Tell them you will not surrender. Hata wakileta nini, nyinyi mtasimama. Hata wakifanya nini, tutafanya imara. Sawa sawa. Tumeelewana. Maina fanya yake. Ametembea kama shujaa. We're happy that the young shujaas are coming up to liberate this country. May the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. Opportunity to come and join you here this morning. I'm pressed for time because I have another engagement, but I'm very happy to see people who have come from different parts of the continent come here, gather in Nairobi, the city in the sun, to talk about a very fundamental issue. Let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this meeting. The UN Special Rapporteur, Ben Saul's office, Vocal Africa, Spaces for Change, Haki Africa, and Civic Advisory Hub for such an important gathering. At this gathering, I'm reminded of the profound responsibility that we carry as leaders and representatives of our beloved continent. As a continent, Africa is brimming with diversity, rich culture, and boundless potential. We want to add here that Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth as far as the resources are concerned. It's a paradox. The richest is also the poorest when it comes to the living conditions of the people. and also the issues of human rights. We are a continent that has weathered storms of adversity.
Fellow Kenyans, as you go to the ballot on Tuesday, I want you to know that we as a country are at inflection point. Either something very good will happen or something terrible will happen. You have a choice of the promised land, but the land of bondage is also within sight. The Pharaoh is refusing to let our people go. We left the land of bondage on Sabasaba Day in 1990. On that day we declared this: let my people go. Today I repeat the same declaration: let my people go. Free them from bondage of thieves, free them from the bondage of liars, and free them from the chain links of corruption. Dear Kenyans, we are soon entering Canaan, and there are few rules we will have to observe. In Canaan, we must embrace reconciliation. We cannot get to Canaan, a divided nation that is half bitter and half happy. In my government, there will be no revenge. I pledge to be the president of all. I have made this decision because I did not choose my liberation cause. The liberation cause chose me. And when I was tempted to run away from it, the cause always found me. This is why I always found a place in my heart to reconcile. I shook the hand of Mr. Daniel Toroitich arap Moi in March 2002, or President Mwai Kibaki in February 2008, and of my brother President Uhuru Kenyatta in March 2018. And at this stage, I want to pay tribute to President Uhuru Kenyatta for showing statesmanship and embracing dialogue and agreeing to work together for the betterment of our country. I want to assure Kenyans that we will continue with this handshake doctrine, the doctrine of unclenching the fist for the sake of Kenya. I will shake the hand of my rivals and pay the political price if I have to. I will shake their hand if I win, and I will shake their hand if I don't. And I will do it because I love Kenya more than I love Raila Odinga. Dear Kenyans, the election is a mere 3 days away. Make arrangement to vote on the 9th. Let us vote early. Let us win early. I need the vote of each and every one of you. Listen to me now. Choose your president yourself. Peace be with you all. God bless you. God bless this election. God bless this, our land and nation. Asanteni sana.
Inter-African trade currently stands at only 15%. Africa trades very little with itself. Inter-European trade stands at 70%. Inter-Asian trade is now getting towards 60%. Even South America stands at about 30%. But Africa does not trade with itself for reasons, some of which are actually solvable, or problems solvable. You see, there are non-tariff barriers which have been introduced by some African countries, which makes it very difficult for goods to move from one African country to another African country. Secondly, there is infrastructure challenges that makes it very difficult for Africa to trade with itself. You know, Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is now 2 years old, but still very little progress has been made, mainly because of these two major barriers. As the High Representative on infrastructure, I realized the challenges. Like you've been talking about intra-African highways, the Cape to Cairo, the Dakar to Djibouti, Dakar, Lagos, Lagos, Mombasa, and so on and so forth. We've been talking about the continental high-speed railway network, one Beira to Walvis Bay, one the old Benguela line, Lobito to Lubumbashi. The other one is the high-speed railway along the coast from Lagos to Cairo. The other one is our LAPSET, the Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor, which as a representative of the AU on on infrastructure, we actually extended from Juba through Bangui in Central African Republic to the port of Cameroon to create a land bridge that links the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean and opening up the interior of the continent, which are landlocked for trade. See, for example, Kenya grows tea. How does Kenya export his tea to Central African Republic? Between Kenya and Central African Republic, there's only South Sudan. South Sudan is the only country between Kenya and Central African Republic. But how do you take your tea there? There's no infrastructure. You have to find a ship that will go around the Cape, along the western coast, to the Cameroonian port of Douala, and then by road to Bangui. The French are there ahead of you. That's why they drink in Bangui Kenyan tea, Christian as English breakfast tea. But with a LAPSET, we can be able to take our goods there. But this infrastructure cannot be developed country by country. You need to have a mechanism at the center that is coordinating funding for this infrastructure. If you want to do the LAPSET, Kenya can only do its part up to the border with South Sudan. Then South Sudan needs to take it from there to the border with Central African Republic. Central African Republic takes it to Cameroon and to reach there. But you need a center to be able to coordinate funding, to mobilize funding for this infrastructure development, which are cutting across the continent. That is why those things have not been done. That's why even the trans-African highways have not been done, and so on. So, getting there, we are also talking about the high-speed fiber optic network connecting all the African capitals. We're talking about open skies to be able to move freely in the African airspace without so much impediment. At the moment, traveling across Africa is a major problem. Recently, when I was going to the funeral of the president of Namibia, we chartered an aircraft here. We had to spend 3 hours at Wilson Airport waiting for clearances of airspaces, the transit countries. You have to get a clearance to fly over Tanzanian airspace, DRC, Zambia, Botswana, and Namibia itself. And it's expensive. The other day, I was in Dar es Salaam going to Niamey in Niger. There, you had spent 10 hours waiting. You need a clearance over Uganda, over DRC, over Central African Republic, over Cameroon, Nigeria, and Niger. And that is what is making the air transport in the continent so expensive. It is easier to move goods by air. You need to put facilities across the continent. And then have also an African continental air traffic control. In Europe, you only need one permit and you can fly all over the countries of Europe. Here, you need to get permission from Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, Kinshasa, Lusaka, going down those sides. So all these are what is making inter-African trade difficult. I've told you about the issues of visas. It's another problem, and so on and so forth. We've been talking about making the Nile River navigable so that you can be able to move from Mediterranean Sea to Lake Victoria. Ships can move from Europe and don't have to go around the Horn to come to our coastal side. You can go right on the Nile to Lake Victoria and land there in Jinja, in Kampala, in Kisumu, and in Mwanza. Those are some of the projects that will be done. And if you open up those way, Kenya will be a major beneficiary, and Africa generally. So we have ideas which
nilipokuwa niko na shida na chama cha Ford Kenya, nilijiuzulu, nikawacha chama, nikajiuzulu kwa bunge, nikarudi kwa wananchi. Ndio sababu mimi nataka kuambia kwamba mkitaka kuonyesha Wakenya msimamo sawa sawa, mkitaka kuonyesha wa Kenya msimamo bora ya demokrasia, basi muwe watu ambao unaongoza na kwa mfano. Uwe mfano. Kama utaki KANU, utaki NDP, toka, rudi kwa wananchi, tafuta maendeleo. Lakini usiwe tu kama vile walikuwa nasema fisi alishindwa na tamaa, sivyo? Na ndugu ya fisi ni mbwa. Ile mbwa ambaye alikuwa amebeba nyama katika kinywa chake, anatembea na mnyama. Alipoingia kwenye daraja, akaangalia chini kwenye maji, akaona kiwiliwili chake kwenye maji. Anafikiri ati ile mbwa imebeba nyama kubwa zaidi kuliko ile ambaye yeye amebeba kwa mdomo yake. Anatupa hii, anakimbia kwenda kungangana na ile nyingine. Alijikuta wapi? Kwenye maji. Asanteni sana wananchi.
Huyu Ruto huyo nimefanya naye kazi kwa muda mrefu sana. Yeye ananijua mimi. Kwa hiyo sisi sasa akipiga kelele huko mimi naangalia tu. Najua atapoa. Sisi tumesema tumetuma sasa watu wetu jopo kazi. Yeye ameleta watu yake na tumeleta watu yangu, waongee wakielewana sawa sawa. Lakini sasa mimi naongea ukweli. Gharama ya maisha imepanda. Hapana, leta ushuru mingi zaidi. Hapana, ni weka tena mzigo mwingine juu yake. Punda imechoka. Jamaa hawaambii wewe. Mimi niweze kuambia wewe tu. Punda imechoka. Tutaongea wakati mwingine. Asanteni sana. Mungu aweke mambo vizuri. On a very tragic occasion, to say farewell to one of the most illustrious sons of this country. We are paying farewell to a four-star general who has died not in the field of combat, but through a tragic air crash accident. General Gola, as has already been said by those who have spoken before, exemplified what you can call a true nationalist. By his own conduct, he showed that he loved his country and he was prepared to serve and die on behalf of his country. We take comfort in listening to his son talk about him. And when I saw Joel talk there, I said, this is a case of the general is dead. Long live the general. He has shown how simple his father was, and I know him because he's a personal friend. I know him as a man of very few words, an accomplished golfer, but a man also who knows his responsibilities to the society. He has served, he has mentored, he has taught very many of the young Kenyans. He believed truly in the Kenyan dream, which is coined in our national anthem. God bless this land of ours. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. Justice can only be a shield and defender if there is democracy. Then may we live in unity and love each other. No discrimination on the basis of gender, ethnicity, race, or religion. Unite all the Kenyan people, all the 46 tribes of Kenya. Give them equal opportunity in terms of education, in terms of employment. Don't discriminate against your fellow Kenyan because he does not come from your tribe. And that is what Ogola believed in. And that is what he showed. And that is how he even worked wherever he worked. It is, Your Excellency, tragic that we are studying today, but he has also shown, just as in life, in death he also said he wants a simple burial and be buried as quickly as possible. This is in line with the traditions of our own African people. Commercializing burials today is not African, it's un-African. People used to be buried either the same day or the following day when they died. Burial or funeral was not an enterprise as what has come today. So he said he wanted to be buried the way it is, without a coffin, soil back to the soil. A great Kenyan patriot. Your Excellency, I want to conclude by saying that because of the manner in which Ogola died, a lot of rumors are flying around all over. We want these rumors to be put to rest. And this can only happen if there's a thorough investigation to tell us the cause of the death, how that plane came down. But also, Your Excellency, this is also time to take a relook at our equipment and our military. Because you have seen a number of these accidents over the last 5 to 10 years. There's been so many of these crashes. We want to put this to an end so that we can save lives of our people. Finally, as we lay Ogola tomorrow to rest, I want us to remove the stigma, Your Excellency. Because I knew this man very well. General Ogola would never have contemplated or thought about going to Bomas of Kenya to force Mr. Chebukati to alter the results of last general elections. So we want this to be removed as we lay him to rest. Rest in peace. our brother and my uncle, General Ogola. Thank you. Now, this school has got a history. Once upon a time, I happened to have been a member of parliament for this constituency. In one of my regular tours around, I found a school on the other side of the railway line. Just the other side of the railway line, there's an underbridge. And the children were learning there. That's where this school was. And it was raining. It was raining on the children. That's when we decided that we should look for another place for these children. And then when I came across this other side, this was an abandoned site. They had started a project here for the disabled people, which had not been completed. So it became a dumping ground. People were dumping rubbish here. And I decided to take over this project. When I took over the project, I brought in an architect, the late Mr. Haban Singh. We looked at the structure there. We said that structure was completely unsalvageable. So that the structure would have to be demolished. Then that same Mr. Haban Singh did a design of that structure you see out here. After he did that structure, that design, those days there was no CDF. I decided just with my other friends to look for money to construct that building. And that is how eventually we transferred the children from the other side, where it was raining on them, and brought them this other side here. At the beginning of this school. Then they later on decided to christen it Raila Education Center. My daughter Rosemary, who was here, who was just left, has been very, very instrumental in working to ensure that this school actually is constructed. Her and Mr. Keta. Where's Mr. Keta? I'm told Keta's already gone. Keta and Rosemary, the twin, are the ones who are working here in this school because I was myself a member of parliament. But then thereafter, we got some other friends from outside the country who also made contributions to enable us to put these other structures up there. And then eventually this other one here. So we managed to get this school to where it is today. My dream was to develop here a center of excellence. And I still have that dream to ensure that this school becomes a center of excellence in the city. It was meant for children of poor parents who live in the slums of Kibera here. Now this is just phase one. But I want to assure you that wherever I go, I will always be able to, I will always continue to have this school in mind. In future, we may acquire lands elsewhere to actually expand this school so that we can be able to meet the demands of the community that live here in Kibera. And it will continue to remain a school for children of the poor. The poor. That is how it was conceived, and that is how we want it to remain. Because you know that the rich can take care of themselves. The poor need to be assisted. And this we will continue to do. Sasa mimi nafurahi sana mwalimu, headmaster. Since we brought him to this school here, kakuja karibu. Amejaribu sana.
since we brought him down here, he has done an excellent job of introducing proper discipline in this school and also recruiting efficient teachers who have actually raised the standard of education in this school. And I'm happy to be told that this school was number 2 in the sub-county after Olympic Primary School, after the secondary school. So I'm very happy to be around here. Nina furaha sana sana sana. Wazazi na men and women who can imagine a mighty political mass movement in an era when many of our people are disappointed with political parties because of unfulfilled campaign promises. We agree that we need a band of young men and women to align the party to the shifting interests of Kenyans with a particular focus on economic upward mobility. Most importantly, we need a team whose singular focus is to take this party to power. ODM must rule. The party must reign. We have 2 years to prepare it for that. We must prepare this party to implement this country's the grand visions we hold that have only been delivered in bits and pieces. So today, I'm calling on our people to stop mourning and start organizing. Stop mourning and start mobilizing. Stay strong and start moving forward. And we move forward together as one. Our goal is to enable the party move ahead to change our country, change our politics, and change the way we are governed. We must start organizing to fight our opponents now and defeat them in the next general elections. We know the huge damage the party in power is doing to the country. We must begin refining our alternative and renewing our politics. I take this opportunity to thank and welcome all our new members who have joined since we started the drive at the beginning of the year. I encourage all leaders and the rank and file of our party to apply themselves wholeheartedly to the exercise of bringing new members on board. We are particularly keen to see more youth and women join the party. We are also preparing for grassroots elections, which is another effort to re-energize the party. I wish well all those who have shown interest in the various positions, particularly at the grassroots, where our party draws its strength. As I have said before, this is and must be a friendly contest. It must unify, not divide the party. It must strengthen, not weaken the party. It must be fought on the platforms of policy, ideology, and beliefs of ODM, not tribe, race, gender, religion, or region. This party will take stern action on those who resort to playing the tribal, gender, regional, religion, or racial cards and character assassination to secure leadership. We have painstakingly built this party into a truly national liberation mass movement. It is too late and futile to try and turn it into a tribal or regional outfit. All our actions and utterances must reflect this reality. I particularly appeal to and encourage women to go for leadership positions. I promise to protect and defend their rights to leadership. The gender agenda must begin here in the party. I have to thank those currently holding leadership positions for the leadership they have given to our party this far. They have served with courage and dignity, and even when they are being challenged, it must be with decorum and dignity. But let them also know that sometimes change must come. That is why this issue of harmonization must die. We are going through these vital exercises with a lot of difficulties because the Kenya Kwanza regime is dead set to deny the parties the constitutionally defined funding. Kenya Kwanza needs to take notice that ODM will not allow the reforms we fought for to be taken away in our lifetime. This is one of the running battles the new office must prepare to go to war for.
Tulishinda. Hata kwa upande ya gavana tulipata magavana mingi zaidi kuwashinda. Hata kwa upande ya MCAs tulipata mingi ya kuwashinda. Kwa hivyo sisi tunaongea kwa niaba ya Wakenya wengi zaidi kuliko wao. Kwa sababu tunasema hakuna mtu anaweza kututisha. Sasa wako na njama leo hii vile vile wamekuwa na mkutano kule kwa Bwana Gachagua na wale grupu yake Bwana na Kimani Ichietha. Wanafanya mjama tena. Tunajua pale popote ambapo wanakutana sisi tuko na nini? Tarubini yetu tunaangalia, tunaona tu. Tunapanga nini? Juzi mliona ile ambulance nilisema itakuja itabeba wanajeshi. Mliona? Mliona? Hata leo hii wanapanga mpango mingi zaidi ambayo uko ni, lakini tuko tunaangalia tu namna hii, wanapiga mkutano hiyo, haichukui hata dakika 5 nimejua wamesema nini, mpanga nini. Sasa mambo ya kesho tutaendelea. Sawa sawa? Si tutaendelea? Tuendelee, tusiendelee? Endelee, si tuendelee? Tutaendelea kesho, sawa sawa? Hivyo sasa kwa hawa Waislamu wako hapa kwa sababu ni Ramadhan, mtapata futari kidogo hapa. Wakristo nyinyi mtapata tu transport, lakini Jumapili Imran ataleta mchango yetu kwenda kanisani. Sawa sawa? Na nyinyi vile vile mtapata transport, alafu mambo ya vifaa vya kujenga mabati mtapata. Sawa sawa? Sawa sawa? Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki.
Elimu na wanafunzi. Sasa baba amefika. Si baba amekuja? Education is very fundamental in our country. Without proper education, no nation can prosper. A nation will prosper if you empower your people through quality education. We have here an explosion of the youth. Nearly 60% of our population are the youth below the ages of 35. The youth can be an asset or a drug. If the youth are not empowered, if they're not empowered, they become drug addicts, delinquents, and become basically a load on the society. But if they are empowered properly with quality education, then they become the engine for wealth creation in the country. And that's the reason why we must ensure, all the time strive to ensure that our children get proper education. This is a challenge to the present government. A challenge to the present government. It is very unfortunate that even today you still have these problems, things of like capitation, it's a problem. Issues of examinations, there are problems. You still have issues of exam cheats and so on in this country. Things which are associated with primitive societies. Those kind of inefficiencies are things that we do not want to see continue in our country. But then, we have the government, and the government has a responsibility. Government has a responsibility to ensure that teachers are recruited and are properly remunerated. Government has a responsibility to ensure that you have proper tuition blocks, there's proper provision for tuition blocks in all our schools. The government has a responsibility to ensure that our children are properly fed in schools so that the children do not starve. These are some of the challenges facing the government. But now today, I'm happy to be here. Today, we are going to do a groundbreaking. I've already done groundbreaking for a new construction of this new tuition block here in the school. And as the MP has said, the construction work is going to start next month. I will be coming to supervise the construction.